Well, good afternoon, all. Nick Spoden here with you. We're going to give a couple of minutes, just let a couple more people filter in here, know we're right on the dot. So stay tuned here, stick with us, and we'll be on shortly. Well, shoot, guys, in the spirit of getting her going here, we might as well jump into her. But before we do, I'm going to give you all a little something here, ag related. Hopefully, set the tone and maybe make a smile for a couple of y'all. A lot of things going on right now. I don't know if you guys have heard about the magic with the tractor. Funny enough, it actually turned into a field. So, speaking of fields, we'll have some backgrounds here up shortly with the team. Looking forward to bringing you guys in and introducing you to our panel that we've got today. Great group. I'll introduce them here in a minute. Once again, I'm Nick Spoden. I've been with you with a couple of the webinars in the past. Senior Director of Agronomy here at Lygos. I'm really excited about what we've been doing the past couple of years. The team is building out, the partners have built out for us, and we're excited again to bring them in today to be able to give you a sneak peek in what's going on maybe in your backyard and how this could be utilized for you in the year ahead. So with no further ado, let's kick her off. And again, what is Lygos? Who are we? We are here to produce better materials, which is going to help you make better products. I wanted to be able to share this with everybody as well. I mentioned past webinars we've had. You'll see them on the right, 1 and 2. Would definitely recommend giving those a look. We're on YouTube. We've got our YouTube channel as well that talks a little bit more about the company and breadth. You'll notice that we obviously are multifunctional in playing into several markets, not just agronomy, as we're here to talk today. Look forward to helping you guys learn what Lygos is all about and where we're heading. So speaking of a really huge group that we've got with us today, a ton of experience throughout this group, and fortunately we've got them scattered throughout the U.S. So like to believe that there's going to be a little bit of similarities in everybody's backyard here. Again, I'm Nicholas Spoden, Senior Director of Agronomy here at Lygos. We've got Brian Frischmeyer, who is a partner with Ag by Direct. Brian is a agronomist by trade, by nature. Been in the industry longer than I'm probably sure I've even been here myself. Brewer Blessed, certified professional agronomist, PhD with North Delta Biologicals as our partner. Brewer also is the founder of By the Bayou Research and Agronomy. Um, yeah, his experience over 40 years, biologicals, seen a little bit of everything when it comes to the South and the Delta specifically. And rounding out with Matt Long out in Kansas. Matt obviously brings to us a wealth of knowledge, additionally on a water side. So excited to explore that with him further. But, Matt is a owner, farmer, and innovator having brought a lot of new products to market. These three are key, obviously, panel members for what we've been able to put together here at Lygos. Some premier guys. So stay tuned. I'm going to bring them in here shortly. In the meantime, I wanted to be able to give you a quick recap on Soltellus and Lygos in case you missed those first two webinars. Again, really excited what we have going on here. So, what's the most important part is understanding who is Lygos, who's this Nicholas Spoden, who's the team, and where are we heading. Our vision is to deliver high performing products that are going to set the standard for agriculture performance. More importantly, sustainable. And we believe that in doing so, developing these new products, we're going to help in accelerating the world's transition to these high performing and again, sustainable solutions. We want to be thought of as your sustainable solution provider. We're here to help uncover any issues that you have and help bring new products to market that are going to be able to benefit you and your operation. Transitioning a little bit more, this is what we're all here for, right? How does Soltellus work? What is Soltellus? Let's get right into her. Soltellus is a multifunctional biodegradable polymer, as we've mentioned before. Multifunctional in application, how it can be applied, where it can be used, and more so how you can look to optimize it within your operation. Initially looking at the soil profile, how we would work was map applied in 2023 with some trials, being able to bind to those fertilizer and soil particles, holding the water where we need access to them as a negative charge. We carry a strong charge that brings in the other positives and additionally negatives on top. And in doing so, once we start degrading, is when we break down, releasing those nutrients into smaller bits, chelated nutrients, in addition to our backbone as an amino acid, which is then consumed by our microbial community in the soil. In turn, we are producing and degrading 4 parts carbon, 1 part nitrogen. Everybody likes hearing that with where we're heading currently in the day. All right, so this one we're going to get on a little bit more on the mode of action side of things. So tell us, as a hub of ion exchange in the soil, the hub of ion exchange is what we really want you being thought of. So not only in the soil, but you see here that we're also going to be talking about plants. In the soil, what are we doing? Strong chelator, again, mentioned that earlier, CEC of 100, being able to pull those nutrients that are typically being bound to soil or to some of those other nutrients that are tied up, and being able to keep them available for the plant as we need. Doing so, what are we seeing? We see an increase in your NPK cycling. Everybody's obviously focused on the macros. Let's not stop there. We also see a significant increase in micros across the board as well. A lot of exciting things that I think you can see here. What do we see in the plant tissues with this? Also, 2 big ones, potassium and phos. You know, those are 2 right now that we always are chasing. It seems like with the phos being tied up, or the potassium for the protection side in season. This is something that Soltellus can help you out with within your operation. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the water aspects of it. So Soltellus being a hydroscopic molecule, we are able to retain water, albeit small amounts, but enough to help with that localized drought resistance and keeping those nutrients bioavailable for our plant. This results in salinity protection, stress tolerance, as I mentioned, and resiliency as we progress in season. So how does this impact our plant, right? How does this impact our biome, and what does it do to the plant? So tell us, in the profile is going to jumpstart your biome. We talked about that strong chelation that we had earlier. We talked about the amino acid base that is Soltellus. As we start degrading, now we become a food source, really that 2-phase approach. And in doing so, the exopolysaccharide increases that we see, PGRs through auxins, gibberellins, fungi and diversity as well. Again, as you can see in this picture, this is a multifunctional tool that can be fit in any application in your operation. And what does that result in on the plant side of things? So an increase in your phytohormones, biodiversity, and again, that root growth, that stimulation reaching down, exiting to your nutrients to pull them. And the key benefit in all this, increased yield, right? That's what we're all chasing here, efficiency and increased yield. So we wanted to be able to provide a quick recap as well. A lot of people are asking, hey, what have you guys been doing in 2024? We've been busy, as you can see here. Aggregate, we're still pulling in some data, as you all know how it goes. But this is where we were at a couple of weeks ago, and it's pretty exciting at this moment to share across 13 states. We were able to maintain a 10.11 bushel average increase per acre. What does that result in when we're talking about Soltellus, our costs, and how does this impact your operation, your bottom line? 4.24 average return on investment. That's very strong in what we're currently dealing with in demands today. More importantly, out west, we also saw a great response in the silage trial. where we saw a 3.5 ton increase. So that speaks to, again, what are we seeing here with some of these grass crops, and how this product is helping them respond. All right, so I'm not going to hold anybody back any further here. Without further ado, let's bring the team in. Again, this is our partner panel that we've started with here at Lygos. Excited to utilize their knowledge and be able to build off of what we've been able to do here as a team and through their trials in the 2024 season. So what we really wanted to talk to with these guys was, what have you seen, and how do you plan on implementing in the years ahead, right? We see Soltellus as the long-term play. Brewer, I know that you had some really good trials out with Soltellus last year. So I'm going to start with you. What grabbed your attention initially that you thought, I got to give this thing a look, I got to get in the fields and see how my crops are responding?
Yeah, thanks, Nicholas. Verifying that you can hear me okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, so I did not get the opportunity to put Soltellus, say, in the furrow on the seed. I use mine in conjunction with nitrogen applications, and some of that was wide dropped, and some of that was actually streamed over the top of the crop. One thing I will say, where it was streamed over the top of the crop, I really do believe I immediately saw a plant health response. That treated area definitely, whether it was a direct foliar type contact or whether it was just improved nitrogen efficiency, I do believe I saw increased plant health. The same actually held true. It was a little bit more delayed where I did it in a wide drop application, where I had that trial. If you fast forwarded that down the road to where we had some intense heat and drought in one of those locations, no doubt that the treated area had more tolerance to that drought. Whether that's a direct water impact or I believe that's usually a biological type response. I do believe that the Soltellus definitely has a fit in corn production. My trials came out at the end of the year, probably averaging double-digit gains. One location where it was just added on top of standard practice, I think it was 8 bushels. The other location where it was in place of a carbon source, it was closer to 15. As far as what excites me the most, Nicholas, you and I have talked about this. I do not really care for compatibility chelations for micronutrients like EDTAs and things like that. In my experience, those can be pretty harmful to the soil biology, not to mention the threat of microplastics and things like that. So I look forward this year to really testing Soltellus as a complexing or chelating agent for micronutrients in the furrow. I believe it protects macronutrients, but again, I'm a big micro guy as well, so I think there's a big fit there. And finally, I like to tell this story. I spilt some of it in my drone trailer, and all summer long, when I'd step across it, it was so sticky it would pull my hay dude off my foot. And my experience is something that sticky is a wonderful foodstuff for microbes in the soil and on the plant. So my current recommendation is we're running some in the furrow for that really protection of nutrients, but also for some quick acting food stuff for microbes. But then also I'm going to run some foliar because I think we miss the microbes on the outside of the plant as well. And I just as sticky as it is, and some of the responses that I think I saw out of it, I have a really good feeling that a kind of a two-pronged approach with it in crop is going to be a big one for me.
Well, that's great feedback. Yeah. And you heard it there, flexibility and application, as well as some excitement around new properties, right? Last year, I know we came into 2024 not thinking we had foliar in our back pocket. So we did see some really good response there, and agree with you. I think that's going to set us up for a fun play in season a little bit later as well. Real good, Brewer. Well, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate all that insight as well as how you plan on using it for the season ahead. Looking forward to recapping you as we go in the summer and in the fall, bringing you back in front of the group here and hopefully bringing some wins with.
Yep.
Great deal. Well, yeah, let's keep her moving. Then also wanted to bring in Brian Frischmeyer. Brian Frischmeyer again, Central Iowa here, West Des Moines area outside. Brian, how does that flexibility that we just talked to in a product impact your decision to bring it into your program and utilize it with your growers?
Yeah, just that ability to use it in a lot of different markets, I guess, has been what really attracts me. We use quite a few fungal bacteria or microbes in our digestion type products, and what I really needed a fit for was something to feed that really good biology the entire year long. And we used some of it this fall, with these fall applications, and literally within 2 weeks, everything that product touched turned to fungi. And we could just see that recycling, happen so fast versus the traditional method would have been just to let the seaweed and the humic that's in that product feed the biology. But even in really dry conditions with the Soltellus, it really just took over everything that it touched. And in Iowa, I guess what I see is on soybeans, it's really tough to make ROI this year, but P&K is probably not where you'd find the ROI in a soybean production in Iowa right now. It's more about recycling carbon. And so if you can get that carbon recycled faster, and if you can balance the nutrition, you just think about what does the soybean need? Well, really potassium, calcium. We've seen really great responses in the Des Moines lobe. We're high pH, so iron is usually difficult to get in the crop. Just copper, we've seen nice responses to copper. And really all those nutrients are what Soltellus is going to keep available for the crop. And so, we looked at the total acre corn trials last year. It was impressive how green and productive those trials were. I put this product on alfalfa for third cutting and really saw a great response in alfalfa. So really just that flexibility. And in soybeans, if we can put it in with Enlist or Liberty in that early post, that's going to carry that crop really right through reproductive.
Yeah, and that is a great call out there. I mean, several for that matter. And love the fall breakdown that we saw too. Really excited to see how that comes out in the spring here. That's great stuff, Brian. So I think I'm going to take it another step further too. Obviously, the biorefinery that we're going to have in Iowa, Fort Dodge, in your backyard there in a couple of years. We focus on obviously the grower first, and I know that you do also. What are you most excited about with partnering with Lygos and working with Soltellus there?
Yeah, I think anytime you form a business partnership, you want something long term. And if there's a production facility in your backyard, you definitely know there's a commitment there of, hey, we're going to be at this for a while. And then
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much you want to talk about it, but that flexibility of adding things to Soltellus to really make it the best product that, for a given area, I'm pretty excited about fine tuning it.
Boy, you and me both, Brian. Yeah, and that's one that I think that we're just scratching the surface on, as you alluded to. Was going to talk to Matt a little bit about that too on water side, but I'm going to keep that a little close to the chest for now, and we'll see how these results also show in season. But the flexibility, as you mentioned, love hitting on that. So heading into the 2025 season, then I know we talked fall. Brewer hit on in furrow where he's going, and looking at some foliar feeding as well. How do you plan on implementing it with your growers?
Yeah, for the guys that have starter, I definitely want to get this in furrow at maybe a half rate. And then when they do their post pass on corn, we definitely want to get it in that pass as well. Because I'm really excited to see, I guess, how much more activity we're getting out of herbicides when the water gets fixed a little bit better. Because you can test water all across Iowa, and if you can find any good water out of a well, I'd give you a gold star. So there is an opportunity to make herbicides work better.
I love it. I love it. And I fully agree with you too. Yeah, I think, we've been talking about that lately, and how do we prime, right? And set that right environment for not only Soltellus, but our crops, our biome, other products to thrive. That again talks to the flexibility, the multifunctionality in the product. So that's a great point, Brian. Thank you very much for calling that one out.
You bet.
Awesome. Well, yeah. And speaking of that, so Next up, I'm gonna jump over to Matt Long. Like I said, Matt Long, West Kansas. So if there's anybody who knows a little bit about hard water, he's certainly there. We're excited to work with Matt in the 2025 season ahead. And I know we had some trials that went out late last year to look just what are we doing with some of those tie-up issues and some of those hard water challenges that you experience. So more to come there for sure. I know we're going to do a lot more trials heading into the 2025 season, and I'll touch on this after as well. But Matt, I guess the one thing I wanted to catch you on too is calcium, right? And knowing the strong tie that we have there that Brian was mentioned as well. Um, what do you see as an opportunity in that? And then also, I think you mentioned FOS tie-up is a big thing out in your area as well.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Just make sure I got my microphone clicked on there. But yeah, the problems that we have in some of our water kind of vary. So we have areas where we have water that has really high calcium concentrations, that cause scale buildup and stuff like that in some of our systems. And so, there's a lot of things to be excited about with Soltellus and the polymer technology. And I think that's a piece of it where we might be able to utilize a product to actually just make our irrigation water run through our systems a little bit more efficient. When it does that, I think when the water runs more efficient, can we see some advantages in lower pumping costs and stuff like that just from the or more efficient application, more even application. I'm excited to see that. We also have some areas, along some of the rivers out here in Western Kansas. They're mostly dry riverbeds, but we have some areas that have, high sodium concentrations in their water. And, when we apply that sodium or that water with that high sodium concentration, we get some issues with what happens to that sodium when it gets in the soil, because we don't receive a lot of rainfall to wash that sodium through the soil profile. And so when you look at the polymer technology, is there some advantage to using a polymer that could cause soil particles maybe to flocculate back together and keep some porosity in that soil versus it just getting dispersed with that sodium and causing a hard pan or some issue like that. That's what I kind of see from the water aspect. Most of those applications are going to be through what we would call like fertigation, where we're injecting that in line with the water. And so I'm excited about that side of it. Excited about some of the areas that Brian and Brewer talked about as well, from the ability to feed the biology and use that product in furrow. That's a big market of ours already is this biology piece. And anytime in the past that I've seen that I've put something in furrow, even just simple table sugar, in furrow, we've really seen that biological population explode and a bigger result from it. And so excited to use something that's a little easier to handle than 25 pounds bags of sugar. I've dissolved quite a few of those in my nurse trailer over the years. And so, what can we do there to get more of a return from those biologicals that we're already using?
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and really excited too, Matt, to work with you a little bit more here in the season ahead. I know we got a lot to learn when it comes to that water quality piece. So thankful to have you obviously on board. The knowledge and history that you've got is going to be immense for us. So really looking forward to that. I guess the other thing I got to ask you, as I've asked the other guys, how do you plan on implementing it out there to the growers in the 2025 growing season?
Yeah, I think the two keys in our market are that in-furrow piece, because we do a lot of in-furrow fertilizer already. And the foliar application market is pretty spotty for us. And then the second piece of that is that fertigation, really to see if we can shore up some of these water sources. We've recently, like you mentioned with some of the other guys, been talking a little bit about water quality and how that affects our efficacies on our fungicides and herbicides. And so we might do a little testing on that as well. But I think the two biggest pieces will be the in-furrow piece and then that fertigation piece on that water quality side.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and very excited. And I'll take this offline here, but first wanted to thank you guys again, for coming together. You know, the audience that we've got on the line here and who's listening in the future, wealth of knowledge here. Reach out to these guys, well over 120 years experience, I know, amongst the group. Couldn't ask for a better set here for our panel and kicking this off to help see how can Soltellus impact you in your backyard this season. Thank you again, guys. We'll take you off and I'll take it from here. So the one thing I wanted to remind everybody of, we're going to keep those panel members on board here for another 5-10 minutes. Please put in your questions and answers into the chat. Anything that you have for them, take advantage of that opportunity. While we're doing so, while we're waiting, and I'll go through a couple more Q&As here in a little bit. I just wanted to revisit some of the things that Brian and Matt were just talking about there. You know, so you hear nutrient uptake with Soltellus. That's what we've been preaching for 2023 and 2024. That's what we saw in response. But we also started learning a few more things, right? Brewer was talking about the microbial feeding and the opportunity that we believe is going to be there, adding that into our application timing now as well. Brian was talking about fall applied digestion and breakdown. And then Matt, obviously on the irrigation side. So the reason we want you thinking irrigation for the audience out there. So tell us sneak peek 2002L. We do have a new product that we will be releasing into the market this year that's focused on irrigation. It will have a higher molecular weight, which we believe is going to help give it a stronger stay power when it comes to some of those irrigation crops. And when we're talking about the water quality side with our base polymer, as a couple of the guys alluded to, for herbicides, fungicides, pretty excited. Again, there's still more for us to learn there, but you heard it from them. And I mean, I definitely trust them with everything for me right now. So what we see, you know, we believe that if we set that stage right, we like to think of it as priming. You know, we lose a lot of opportunities currently in putting products in with water that is just not balanced right in the tank. Right. So being aware of that, being cognizant of that is key right now. And if we can set that stage right going in, I think that we're going to see that not only Soltellus is going to thrive in being able to do what it needs to do in the soil, but you're also going to see some great responses attributed to some of these other products as well. So really looking forward to, again, priming that soil, setting that environment so that we know that we've got things in balance from a nutrient standpoint. The mobilization is going to be there. So look forward to more coming there. Without further ado, I do want to jump into the Q&A. Before we do, take a look at the map. Again, we have built out quite a bit of partners in the last year. There's a handful that are still not on here being updated as we speak. So within the next week, you'll probably see this up to 30. We believe we've got a partner right now in your backyard. And as you see here with the group that we've got, ton of knowledge. That's what we're trying to bring here, is a strong network for you growers. So let's jump into the Q&A next. I know we're getting close to the half-hour mark that we were shooting for, so we'll try to keep her going.
Yeah, Nick, first question is actually for based off of what Matt mentioned. So Matt mentioned fertigation with Soltellus. Can you use as an addition with UAN or just to increase water quality?
Great question. Great question. Both, in my opinion. So again, that talks to the flexibility of what we see within Soltellus. A lot for us still to learn from within the last couple of years as we continue to massage the data. But yes, feeling very confident with both of those. Again, if you think about Soltellus and what we're able to do with that calcium mitigation, that scale buildup when you're talking fertigation, irrigation, that's key, right? So not only do we have that, but we did run distribution uniformity tests that are showing a significant increase there. And when I say significant, I should call out a 4% increase. So we are well above that 80% industry benchmark. And we believe what's happening there is that, again, calcium chelation that we see, that mitigation of buildup, breaking that down, allowing for that clean distribution of your water, and then also being able to get the nutrient uptake. That's going to be a powerful punch.
Thank you. Right now, let's see, the next question. Have you seen any difference on performance based on the soil pH? Any difference on the soil pH?
Oh boy, I think I might know who this is coming from up in South Dakota, if I remember right there. Great partner we've got up there. You know, I honestly haven't. I'm not going to say that we've won everywhere this year either, you guys. That's one thing we don't want to do. So in general, though, we did track at about a 90% win rate, and that was across various conditions, whether that was soil pH, good challenging soils. We think the opportunity is going to be there for both, and that's where we have that up to 10% potential increase, depending on the crop.
Great, thank you. Let's see if there's any other questions. Right now, those are the only two. I'll give people a couple seconds if they want to submit any questions. Oh, here's the next one. If a grower does not have starter on the planter, would you split the application during the year?
Another great question from the audience. Really appreciate that. I think I'll look back a little bit to our past webinar number 2, and again, be sure to jump on YouTube. There, we've got all these posted. Webinar 2, we actually had the Total Acre Group come in with us, and they did run a double application. They ran 2 quarts up front and then 2 quarts at a side dress or a wide drop. Variable times, I think running all the way up to V9, if I remember correctly. And doing so, we saw a very good response. So not only from that initial uptake standpoint when the plant's needing access to these nutrients, but then in season, fighting those abiotic stresses that we're all aware of.
Great. All right, so more questions coming in. First one, are there any concerns with mixing with most starter fertilizers or UAN?
Ooh, excuse me, guys. Great time to catch a frog in the throat, right? No concerns as far as mixing. We found compatibility right now. Across the board, we're in good shape. 32-28, we blend well. Additionally, on the dry fertilizer side, excuse me.
Stay. You can grab us a drink of water real quick if you need to.
Thank you, Sierra.
All right, as you're drinking, next question, do you expect irrigation water to be utilized more efficiently?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a great question. So again, a lot to learn there. A lot for us to learn there, and that's where we wanted to make sure to give you a sneak peek that we will be bringing a new product out into the market 2002 that's going to be focused for irrigation. But yes, we believe right now that it is again, and I look at that distribution uniformity test, the multifunctionality we have as a water treatment segment. Additionally, I mentioned Soltellus ranges in several markets. What we've learned on the water treatment side, that mitigation of buildup, again, that allows for that clean flow.
Great. So next question, what is the use rate for in-furrow on corn? Brian mentioned half rate in this situation.
Yeah, great question. And again, so I think this is where we're looking at a lot of ways that it can impact your operation specifically. So that's the beauty and the flexibility, right? We have some guys that believe that the 1 quart up front is going to be beneficial, and then hitting it a little bit later on with a side dress or even a foliar at 2 quarts is going to provide the reach. I think Brewer mentioned right on a foliar pass as well. So really going to come down to the operation. And to me, that's the beauty in it that a lot of us haven't seen in products historically when it comes to agriculture. Most of the time we're trying to pick a one size, and it definitely doesn't fit all, right? But if we know that there's various ways that we can impact our biome and our plant throughout the season, depending on when Soltellus is applied, I think that's going to set us up for a really strong year. But the one thing that we do know, with my colleague, my director of applications, Clint Hoffman, wealth of knowledge, he's seen Soltellus now for over 3 years in the fields. And I think that, yes, as little as 1 quart, we feel very confident we'll deliver a response. However, again, our recommended rate is at that 2 quart rate.
Great. Next question, for alfalfa application, do we apply after each cutting and at what rate?
Great question. And Brian, I think that you mentioned you got it on a little bit late at 3rd cutting, if I remember right. So we were actually looking at about a 2nd, and ideally, if we could push it into a 4th, we thought that would be a great response opportunity for Soltellus. We did see that in a few trials in the 24 season, but as Brian spoke to obviously as well, that 3rd cutting gave him a good response also.
Great. This one's for Brian specifically. Are you using Soltellus in the fall with the digester? Are you using them on corn stalks?
Yeah. I think, excuse me. I think it's going to get used both ways. It was all about what time I could get the Soltellus this fall. You know, that opportunity was there just because I had the product and that was something we were doing. And I just saw where, you know, a quicker food source would probably really help in dry conditions. So I was just more curious than anything. But I would say this spring, there's going to be a lot of it put in with digesters with herbicides, like for burn down and for pre-emerge. We've always seen good results with the digestion product I have just without it. But I just know that if there was a better food source, you would just get more activity quicker. And the kind of things we see on the crop is just more nodulation, more early branching, bigger stems. So just a lot of great characteristics to getting that microbiome going early.
Awesome, thank you. Next question. Will the product be shipped to the farm or are you able to pick it up at a distribution center?
Yeah, hey, that's another good question. Love hearing that. And I think, you know, looking at the map here, these partners as well, that would be my recommendation. Reach out to them, coordinate through them. We're here to be flexible, not only in application, but we're here to support the growers, not only through our partners, but that's a main focus here at Lygos. So whatever we can do to help bridge that gap, we're here for. But yes, I would recommend working with, again, that local partner that we've got that you can see on the Where to Buy map. Hopefully we've got someone close in your area. If not, reach out and maybe we can find someone together.
Awesome, thank you. Next question. I have heavy manure ground. What's the best way to use Soltellus? And is there a difference when using it in hog manure versus turkey manure?
Very good question. Very good question. Something that we're scratching the surface on a little bit currently. So we did have some trials out this last season with manure. And again, if we think about the tie-up that we're typically going to see when it comes to that application, to me, that's where Soltellus is going to thrive. That's where we focused in the beginning. I don't believe that there's going to be a significant difference between the blend itself. But I will be honest, it's something for us to learn off of this year. Talking to a few producers currently, we're looking at running some trials across the board. So feeling like we have a lot more answers to that later in season, but would love to work with everybody here and have the opportunity to show that we can deliver.
Great, thank you. Those were all of the questions.
Well, this has been a great webinar. I've got to thank not only Sierra first, thank you very much, Sierra, but also the full panel that we've got here. So again, Brewer Blessed, Brian Frischmeyer, Matt Long, you guys can't thank you enough, not only for joining and helping us learn about Soltellus, but really excited about where y'all are taking it this season ahead and looking forward to working with you guys. Thank you again so much. To our audience, thank you, and we look forward to working with every grower in the year ahead. Appreciate y'all.